Okay, so here we have the ESC. Velcros onto the base, attaches the battery here. It's connected to the motor. The motor has two attachment points in this little bracket here onto the base. The pinion gear attaches to the spur gear. On-off switch is here. Servo here is for the steering. It's got an arm that's mounted on. Little L brackets were custom made for it. These attach directly onto the base. This Velcro here is for the receiver to sit on. The receiver just with its antenna here. All the wiring is bundled up. These are red lights for the. These are the white lights for the front, so they're the headlights. These are red lights, which are just sort of in the center to show when the vehicle is on. Moving over here, we have the battery pack for the red flashing rear light. So that's the rear light there. Velcros onto the base. That's all it is. On-off switch. So that's the electronics done. Apart from the braking servo over here. So that's just mounted to the base via four M4 bolts attached here. These little tension wires pull together this. This is attached to the base via four M3 bolts. Custom pins were made for the CNC machinery. Spur gear here is attached via a bearing holder. So the bearing holder is attached to the base via two threadings M3 here. It's also held by the diff case here. Diff case, of course, holding the diff via four M3 bolts, and it's holding this spur gear on the spur gear assembly via two M2 bolts there. Okay, so we can move back over here to the wheels. So the wheels, we've got wheel cups which fit in the aluminium suspension parts. These little wheel hexes sit neatly in the recesses here. These little bolts hold them in place, little pins, whatever you want to call them. The bearings here, of course, for mounting. So yeah, and it's worth mentioning these have been super glued on. So moving on to the main suspension here, so we've got the suspension towers which mount onto the suspension itself via two M4 holes, one for each. They mount onto the base via four M3 mountings, and the lower arm mounts here have these same mounting points, two M3s for each. These mount onto the lower arms via a single M3 threading. The suspension mounts on via a single M3 threading as well, and these mount onto the actual wheel hubs via M3 mounts. The same is for this, apart from this is the front steering, so we've got front suspension, sorry. So we have little steering hubs as well. These mount on just via a single M3 studding at the top and bottom. They hold the bearings as well. Another worthwhile mention to point out is the holders for the front headlights here. The steering here, so we've got the two steering arms that mount onto the suspension here and here. These two mount onto the base via these two custom-made pins. This arm mounts back to the servo. That servo steering arm will then move the steering right and left. The front bumper here sits at the front via these three M3 holes and provides protection. These dog bones, since it's rear-wheel drive, will sit in the rear of the vehicle in each of these cups here and here. And I believe that is the vehicle.